Now joined by the head coach of the Yough Cougars baseball team, Craig Spisak, as his team claims the section title in Class 3A Section 4 postseason bound. First off, Craig, I'm sure it's a major accomplishment to win a section title. That's usually one of a team's goals heading into the season. What did that mean to you and the players?
It definitely was one of our goals, and it's very important to our players. They set that as one of their marks they wanted to achieve this year. So it was nice for them to work to get to that point.
And the good news, I guess, is not only did you win the section, but you won it pretty convincingly. And I would imagine that knowing that you already had the section locked up, it maybe allowed you to try to set things up heading into the playoffs. So what were you trying to accomplish the last handful of games after you had already secured that first place finish?
We definitely wanted to work on some little things in our game to improve ourselves. A couple players here and there to get some more reps to hopefully get their game where it needs to be. There's a lot of different things we want to work on at that point, but it's definitely the approaches at the batter's box, how the two-strike approach, the things about chasing pitches out of the zone, defensively, the little things to work on. We definitely wanted to try to fine-tune our game going into the playoffs.
So your team put together a pretty nice season, obviously, 10-7 overall record, which means that in terms of the non-section, you didn't do all that well. But what were you trying to accomplish with some of those games?
I like the teams we played. It gave us a nice challenge. We played Highlands, who's a ranked team in 4A. We played Penn Trafford, who's had a great season in 5A, and Seton LaSalle, who's had a very good season in AA. So those teams were giving us very good looks for us to go into the playoffs with, and it definitely, I think, helped us seeing some good pitching in addition to good hitters for our pitchers to face.
And another team that you played out of section is Mount Pleasant area. We'll get to that one in just a moment. Let's talk a little bit about some of the particular players. Now, I broadcast your victory. It was a dramatic come-from-behind win against Southmoreland. I believe that one clinched at least a share of the section title for your team. And then, obviously, as we mentioned, you won it outright. But Alan Novacek on the mound was outstanding in that game. And I know he's been one of your main guys this season. When you think about his campaign, what stood out?
He was very composed on the mound. He worked to get ahead of hitters a lot, and he did a very good job of mixing his pitches up.
Now, to win a section title, to get into the postseason with a good seed, you need a number of guys to contribute. Who are some of maybe the guys who have gone under the radar that have really been instrumental and maybe pleasant surprises even this year to you?
The four seniors that have gotten the playing time, the bulk of their playing time, they've done a great job. All four have contributed a great deal in our season. Christian Park, Caden Bizazzaro, Taylor O'Delly, and Alan Novacek. Some juniors as well. We've had some very good contributions from our juniors. Jack Sampson, Carson Pasinski, James Showman. He's been our number 2 pitcher and done a great job on the mound as well. And it's been a group effort. When I look at our stats, there's no one person that stands out statistically. It's spread across the board pretty evenly, and that's nice to see from a group of 9 to 12 guys that are equally contributing.
I know you said there were some things that you wanted to work on down this stretch, but what do you think maybe some of the strengths of this team have been all throughout the season?
I like how our kids, the mental attitude of it's a tough trait to find in a young group of kids, that they hate to lose, and they refuse to give up on any game, no matter what the score is, winning or losing. They have a good trait of, they just are very persistent with trying to be the best they can be. And sometimes it's hard to teach a kid to do that. And they've done a very good job of grasping that.
Let's talk about the 3A bracket. I think some coaches generally are happy with the seed. Some have something to gripe about. I think you would probably fall in that latter category. You win the section, and yet you get the number 5 seed. So what did you maybe anticipate going in? And then what was your reaction when you found out that you got the 5th seed despite winning your section?
I wasn't displeased at all. I was actually very happy. I was anticipating anywhere between 5, 6, or 7, quite honestly. So I don't really look at those seedings too much, and I don't worry about that, because it's nothing that I tell our kids, we can't control that. We can only worry about things we can control. And whatever they put us, we still have to go and play our games. And if we want to get to the end, we need to win 4 games no matter where we're seated at. So it's just a matter of, I wasn't really concerned about that, quite honestly.
That being said, is that something, at least with the players, that you can use as a motivating factor?
I don't know if they're worried about that or not. They probably to some degree maybe are, but I like to think they follow what we set as an example, and I don't know if they're really worried about that. They just want to go out and play.
Well, I guess one of the positives of getting the number 5 seed is that you probably don't have to do as much research on your first round opponent. You're going against a team that you played with in the last couple of weeks, the Mount Pleasant area Vikings. So not only have you seen them recently, but I would assume being another Westmoreland County team, you probably already had some awareness with their program and their coach Firmstone. What stands out about the Vikings?
I coached at Mount Pleasant for a couple of years before I got the head job at Yough. So I know Chris very well. He's a great coach. Him and Coach Capozzi and the rest of that staff are excellent coaches. It's a great program. I enjoyed my time there, and I anticipate their best game. They always have good athletes. They always have a good program. It'll be, it's a rivalry game for us. We play them in the summer twice a year. Sometimes we see them in the fall, and they used to be in our section, so we'd see them every time in the spring twice a year as well. So the kids are very familiar with each other. It'll be a fun game.
And the first time you played, it was a 8-7 victory in favor of the Cougars. How did you approach that game? How did they approach it? Was it comparable to a playoff type game, or was it sort of one where you're maybe getting a little bit deeper into the benches just to get some, guys some playing time?
I would anticipate that second part, the latter part of that was probably what both coaches were looking to achieve. Yeah.
So can you take anything from a game like that in terms of seeing them a second time in a span of a week?
I mean, sure. They still, we still have to hit the ball. We both still have to pitch the ball and field the ball. So it's just, you get to see their players still. So it's definitely, I'm sure, he's taking out of it as much as I took out of it. So it's definitely, it's beneficial to both teams, I'm sure.
I know that the playoffs are a different animal than the regular season. That being said, I would think most of your guys have some experience because you made the postseason a year ago, and then you go back to 2019. And I know that you said there's only a handful of seniors, but they were at least around at that time when your team went 10-2 in the section and made the playoffs. So do you think that the experience of a lot of the guys being there maybe makes it a little bit easier when you first step out onto the field for that first playoff game?
It's definitely very helpful. I have no doubt. The seniors were here, was freshmen when we had our nice run in 2019. We've been very fortunate in 2020 and 21 in the summer season. Legion, we went to the regional tournament both years, and bulk of those kids have played in that, in addition to as you mentioned, our playoff game last year. So there's definitely some experience in some big games for these kids, and hopefully that'll pay off for us.
And lastly, we talked about one of the goals for most teams heading into a season is to win a section title. You accomplished that one. So what are the goals from here on out now that the postseason's underway?
Let's win a game. We'll go from there. One game at a time. That's I've learned through the years of coaching that you can't take anything for granted. We're happy to be where we're at, but we're not satisfied. But at the same time, you can't look ahead at all. I mean, any team can beat anyone. The seedings are kind of irrelevant at this point. It's just a matter of going out and playing. We know every team in the playoffs at least has one or more good pitcher, and we're going to see their best, and vice versa. So it's you can't take anything for granted. If we're fortunate enough to win, we'll be very happy. I'm sure Mount Pleasant's, they're saying the same thing. It's just, you're looking forward to one game at a time at this point.
Well, Craig, thanks so much for doing this. Flick and I joke that it's tough for us because we're guaranteed that one of the Westmoreland County teams is going to win, but conversely, one of them is going to have their season end as well. So we're right down the middle on this one, but hopefully,
I get it.
Hopefully it'll be a great game. We'll say that much.
Thank you.
All right. That's Craig Spisak, head coach for the Yough baseball team.